This video I'll do a demonstration how to create a model and a drawing using NX. I'll start a new model. Make sure you're on model. Check your units. So this particular part is in millimeters, so I'll make sure that that is set to millimeters and say OK. Start with a sketch. Choose a plane. Say OK. Now, as in any other 3D modeling package, the software wants to know where you are in relation to the origin. So depending on your geometry of your part, find a way to include that in. In this case, this part, I'm going to start, I've got some circles here. Hit escape. Now I can, remember the software is going to go ahead and don't worry about these crazy dimensions like that. The software is going to go ahead and dimension stuff. Even if you didn't input something, it's going to put a dimension on there. I just have to double click on that, edit that value, make it 60. Let's see. Oh, I just realized those were radius dimensions. Those are supposed to be 30. There we go. Okay, and I'll use the line tool to connect these now. You'll know you're on, for example, if you're looking for points to snap onto for your quadrants, those diamonds will show up. So quadrant to quadrant, hit escape, line, quadrant to quadrant, escape. I've got a couple more, there's a couple more circles because there's holes in here. That's 12.5, 5, enter, hit escape. I need to use my trim tool up here and just swipe across the stuff you want to get rid of. Everything is black, so that means that it's fully constrained, so that looks fine. So let's finish that sketch. And let's go ahead and turn off. If you right click on the coordinate system, we can hide that. Let's go ahead and extrude that. Click on the part and let's say I'm going to do a symmetrical and 30 is correct. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not correct. It's 20. Say OK. Now the sketch shows up. Just right click, hide that. There's my part. I want to save that. So save it to somewhere where you know. Let's see. Somewhere where you know where you're saving it to. Okay, to make a drawing, you just go up here to the top, go to Application, Drafting. Remember, we're going to use the A3 size. That's approximately the same as a B size. And say OK, and just close that. Close that as well, because I'm going to use the View Creation Wizard. Click on that, and you can see what the software thinks, based on how your front view that you started, it's choosing these, and that looks pretty reasonable. But let's proceed through here. This will be where you choose your file name. Go to Next. You have to turn on your hidden lines each time, so you can't have invisible hidden lines. You want to show the dashed lines. If you wanted to change your scale, you could do it here. Normally it's on automatic. You go to manual. Just make sure you don't make the scale too big because you get weird stuff happening. I'm just going to, this 1:1 looks fine. Say next. And again, here I can flip through and see my options. Now, just because that says front view doesn't mean anything. You want to find the view, focus on this. Shows the most information, fewest hidden lines, and the longest dimension is on the horizontal. And that looks good, so I'll finish that. A couple of things. You have tangent lines on this one, so we want to fix that. If you double click on this, and you just have to go down here where it says smooth edges, uncheck that. That'll take the tangent lines off. Now you can see the center lines. This one's fine. I've got hidden lines on there, which you don't want to show, so double click that. And go over here where it says hidden lines and uncheck where it says self-hidden. Say OK, and then I like to delete those center lines. So there's my 3 views, which are tied together. And now I can add my dimensions. I'll use my rapid dimensioning tool. Now remember, we're forced to use ISO standards, so just go with it. They're not the nicest looking dimensions. Now, if you try to use the rapid dimension, you'll get those weird diameters. I know you can mess around with it, but if you just click on radial, you'll get that. If you want to add, like I want to make it 2x on that, just double click it, and then whatever you put in this box here is going to go in front. This represents your dimension. And that would be also if you wanted to change the number of decimals. That would be, that goes in front. If you wanted to change a symbol or something, you can also do that here. Close that. Let's keep dimensioning. I also have that, and I just realized, but let me show you something. So if you're, that needs to be radius. When you do these, when you first click on them, a box will pop up. You can go ahead and add the note, right? And then it'll put the 2x on there. And I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay, let's try her again. Make that 2x. Click where you want it. I do need, this needs to be radius. That lets you change the thing. What I want there is the radius dimension. Let's just try. If you double click on this, you'll see there's lots of things you can do. If you notice up here, it's a little hard to see. That's going to give you a diameter. Since it's not a full circle, click on that radius thing. And then we can put a 2x in there. So kind of a lot happening. You can always double click and make those changes. Let's see what, I think the only other thing we might need here is this. Now also you're going to notice, because I've always try to start out everybody doing things right. You'll notice these extension lines are touching the object lines. That's just a basic setting here. That's the default setting, which I don't like. If we went to the ANSI mode, we wouldn't have to deal with that. But one thing, at least these are darker lines. If you want to change that, it's a bit of a hassle. You'd go over here to File, Preferences, Drafting, and this will let you change all those things about your dimension. So here, for example, it says gap of 0. I'd have to make a gap. I don't know what it's going to be, 2 millimeters, and those should be the same. And apply, say okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't automatically update. You'd have to redo that dimension. Right, so now you'll see the gaps there. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. As we learn the software, we can get better at those things. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Click on Note here, and you can fill in the title block. That was a previous, it carries the last time you did a note, it'll remember that. So if you have a bunch of drawings you're doing, you only have to make a few edits. You don't have to start from scratch. Close that. Oops, close that. There we go. And that's it. Just want to make sure you save it. Now you don't do a save as, do a save. Remember, your file is going to be one file name for the part and or for the model and also for the drawing. And for anything else that you would happen to do in the applications, it would save it all under the same part, same name, sorry. Now we talked about creating how we're going to turn in these assignments because you can't make PDFs. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Probably the easiest thing is just do a screen capture, which a really handy tool in Word is this snip and sketch. Click on that, click on new, just draw the window around the stuff you want. I don't want all this extra border and stuff because then it makes it really hard to see the drawing. And then just start a Word doc, go to layout, to a landscape, and then just paste that in there. If you can make it bigger, that's great, but make it easy on me, easy on you too. And then again, if you have other drawings too for that assignment, just keep putting them all on this same Word doc, right? So let's pretend these are different drawings. Same thing, cut and paste them. Oops, got a blank page in there. And then when you save it, let's see. Save the Word doc, and then when you export, just do create a PDF, and then you can just turn that in. So when you give that to me, it'll be, all the pages will be together. I'll create those like that. Okay, so that is how, close that. That's how you create the part. Now, if you want to go back to your model, you just click on that. So if you need to make an edit, so let's say I made a mistake there. If you double click on that extrusion, you can make a change. Like if I decided that should be 22, right? Or if I need to click on the sketch, if I need to make a change there, if I decided that should be 55 or something. Right now, I messed the whole part up. But anyway, same thing. Double click the sketch to edit it. Double click the extrusion to edit that. Application, go back to your drawing. Click on that update right there. That'll update these views to match the changes that you just made in your part file. Okay, so that's pretty much that.